Hello, dear listeners. The internet is a deep and endless space, like an ocean. But unlike the ocean, no matter how hard you try, you'll never truly explore it all. Tonight, we've gathered horror stories from the darkest corners of the web. Enjoy the show.
It wasn't for anything illegal. Not really. I was just deep in debt. The medical bills from my dad's hospice care were drowning me. I heard on some forum about a site on the dark web, a marketplace. They said you could find odd jobs there, high-paying ones. It took me an hour to get the stupid browser to work. The site was just lists of text, no pictures. One listing said, "Logistical errand. One-time pickup and delivery within state lines. $10,000. Discretion required. Item fits in a standard cooler." $10,000. That was 3 months' bills gone. I clicked. The instructions were simple. I was given coordinates for a back road intersection about 50 miles north of my town in Colorado. A date and a time, 3 a.m. I'd find a cooler chained to a specific road sign. I had the combination to the lock. I was to take it, drive it to another set of coordinates 2 hours east, and leave it in a designated ditch. Then my payment would be released from escrow. It felt shady, but $10,000 for a drive? I convinced myself it was just black market pharmaceuticals, maybe organs for research. I didn't want to know. I just needed the money. The night was pitch black, no moon. I found the intersection, just dirt roads, and there it was, a heavy-duty cooler padlocked to the signpost. My hands were shaking so bad I messed up the combo twice. The lock clicked open. I shouldn't have looked inside. The agreement said not to, but I had to know. I lifted the lid. It was packed with ice and wrapped in thick plastic like you'd get from a hardware store. I saw hair, blonde hair, and the shape. It was a head, a human head. I slammed the lid shut. I threw up on the side of the road. I paced, hyperventilating. $10,000. I kept thinking about the bills, the collectors. I made the worst decision of my life. I put the cooler in my trunk and started driving. For 2 hours, I cried. I talked to myself. I argued. The thing was in my trunk. I was delivering a human head. I followed the GPS to the second location, a barren stretch off the highway. I saw the ditch. I pulled over, carried the cooler, it was so heavy, and set it down. As I turned to leave, my phone buzzed. A message on the encrypted app. Service appreciated. Payment processed. Would you like to be added to our preferred courier list? Higher fees for specialized items. I deleted the app right there. The money hit my account the next morning. I paid the bills. I tried to forget. A week later, watching the local news, I saw it. A report on a missing woman from a town near the first coordinates. A blonde woman. They showed her picture. It was her. It was the head in my cooler. The reporter said the police had a break in the case. They had found a crucial piece of evidence, but couldn't reveal it to the public. Then the camera showed the detective, and he was standing right next to the ditch. My ditch. The one where I left the cooler.
They were investigating the ditch. My ditch. I turned off the TV. I couldn't breathe. I was a part of this now. I had disposed of evidence for a murderer. I got paid for it. 2 days passed. Nothing. I thought maybe I was in the clear. And a knock on my door. 2 detectives. Plain clothes. They showed their badges. They were polite. They said they were asking questions in the area about the missing woman. They asked where I was on the night of the pickup. I said I was home. Asleep. They asked if they could look around my property. I had to say yes. I was so scared I thought I'd pass out. They didn't go inside. They walked around my yard. One of them stopped near trash cans. He pointed at something on the ground. The other detective came over. They both looked at it, then looked at me. It was a small, melted piece of blue plastic, the kind from a cooler latch. It must have snapped off when I was freaking out at the intersection. It must have fallen from the cooler and stuck to my shoe. I brought it home. The first detective picked it up with a glove. He put it in an evidence bag. He didn't say anything. He just looked at me. It wasn't a look of accusation. It was worse. It was a look of understanding, like he finally saw how all the pieces fit. They left. They didn't arrest me. They just said they'd be in touch. The payment is still in my account. I can't touch it. Every time a car drives by my house too slowly, I freeze. I wait for another knock. I know they're building their case. But I'm not just afraid of the police. The encrypted app is gone. But last night, a new email popped up in my spam folder. No subject. It just said, "The client was satisfied with the logistics. Your reliability has been noted. A new offer is being prepared for you. Higher stakes, higher reward. You will be contacted." I deleted it. But you don't delete things like that. Not really. They know who I am. They know what I did. And now, I have to wait. For the police. Or for them.
After my divorce, I bought a cheap house in a quiet neighborhood in Ohio. It was a foreclosure, a steal. The realtor said the previous owners left quickly. She gave me a thick file. At the bottom was a handwritten note, "For the new owner. The instructions are online. Search for this address on the Clarion Forum. Trust the manual." I figured it was some weird homeowner quirk, maybe about the sprinkler system. A few nights later, bored, I looked up Clarion Forum. It was a dark website, a message board. I found it. I searched my address. One thread popped up. Title, 1947 Maple Drive, Occupant Manual. I clicked. It was a list of rules. The locks are for your safety. Always deadbolt the front and back doors by 9:07 p.m. Not 9:05, not 9:10, 9:07. The hallway closet is not for storage. Keep it empty. The door must be closed at all times. If you hear humming from the vents after midnight, go to the kitchen, open the cupboard under the sink, and count to 60 out loud. Do not stop until the humming stops. The man in the brown jacket who walks his dog at 11 p.m. is not your neighbor. Do not acknowledge him. Close the blinds. Check the attic access panel in the hall ceiling every Tuesday. If it is slightly open, follow procedure blue. There were dozens more. Specific, paranoid, insane. I laughed. The last owner was a crazy person. I closed the site. But that night, at 9:06, I was watching TV. I remembered the rule. I smirked. At 9:07 exactly, every light in the house flickered. A quick, hard blink. Then normal. Old wiring had to be. A few days later, I threw some old coats in the hallway closet. I forgot. That night, I woke up to a sound. A scraping sound from inside the closet, like fabric dragging on the floor. I sat up in bed. The scraping stopped. Then 3 soft knocks on the closet door. Tap, tap, tap. I didn't move until sunrise. I yanked the door open. The coats were there, but they were in a pile in the center of the small closet, not where I'd tossed them. Someone had been in my house. I called the police. They came. They found no signs of forced entry. all my windows were locked. The deadbolt was engaged. They said maybe it was the house settling, or I had a dream. They suggested I get a carbon monoxide detector. They were polite, but I saw it in their eyes. They thought I was the crazy one. I took the coats out. I kept the closet empty. I started following the rules, not because I believed in them, but because I was sure someone was watching me, and the rules felt like the only way to make them stop. I deadbolted the doors at 9:07. I closed the blinds at 11. I saw the man in the brown jacket. He walked past every night. He never had a dog. He just stared at my house.
One Tuesday, I checked the attic panel. It was a small square door in the hallway ceiling. I pushed it. It was loose. It was open a crack. Procedure blue. I went back to the forum. It said, provide an offering, one personal item of value. Place it in the center of the living room floor before sunset. Do not be in the house between sunset and sunrise. This was insane, but the open attic panel meant someone had been up there or was still up there. I didn't follow the procedure. I got a ladder and a hammer. I shoved the panel shut and nailed it closed. 4 long nails. No one was getting in or out. That night, the humming started. A low, electrical drone from the vents. It was unbearable. I remembered the rule. I went to the kitchen. I opened the cupboard under the sink. I started counting out loud. 1, 2, 3. At 27, I heard a different sound from above, in the attic. A heavy thump, then the sound of something rolling, something solid. It rolled slowly across the length of the attic floor right above me. I stopped counting. The humming got louder, more intense. The rolling sound stopped directly above the kitchen. A single clean marble dropped out of the ceiling vent above my sink. It hit the counter with a sharp click and spun before stopping. They were in the attic. They had another way in. The nails on my side didn't matter. I ran. I grabbed my phone and keys and slept in my car. The next day, I called my friend Mark, who's a contractor. I didn't tell him everything. I said I heard animals and needed him to check the attic and find how they got in. He came over with tools. He pulled down the panel, ripping out my nails. He climbed up with a high-power flashlight. He was quiet for a full minute. Then he said, "You need to see this man, now." I climbed up. The attic was empty. No boxes, no junk, but in the center of the space, clear of insulation, was a perfect circle of marbles, dozens of them. In the middle of the circle was a little silver necklace. I recognized it. It was my ex-wife's, a cheap thing she said she lost during the move. On the far wall, near the peak of the roof, Mark's light shone on a small, neat hole cut right through the plywood and siding. It was just big enough for a person to squeeze through. It was hidden from the outside by a section of loose soffit, a perfect hidden access point. "This wasn't animals," Mark said, his voice low. "This was cut. This is a breach." We went outside. He pointed out the loose soffit. From the ground, you'd never see it. Mark helped me board it up from the inside with steel plates. He said it was secure. He was freaked out. He left fast. I went back to the forum. I was shaking with rage and fear. I logged into the thread for my address. At the bottom of the manual, a new line had been added. It read, "Procedure Blue was not followed. A substitute offering was accepted. 1 marital token. Compliance is now mandatory." They had the necklace. They had been in my house, in my boxes while I was gone. They were telling me this wasn't random. It was deliberate. They were forcing me to play. I tried to sell the house. The realtor showed it twice. Both times, the buyers brought inspectors. Both inspectors found significant, inexplicable electrical issues and evidence of unauthorized structural modification in the attic. They found the steel plates. It spooked them. No sale. I was trapped. I followed the manual. Every rule,
every night. It was easier than fighting. Last Tuesday, I checked the attic panel. It was open a crack again. They had another way in I didn't know about. This time, I followed Procedure Blue. I put my old class ring in the center of the living room floor. I left before sunset. I stayed at a motel. When I came back in the morning, the ring was gone. The attic panel was shut tight. On my kitchen counter was a single, crisp $100 bill. And a new rule was on the forum. Compensation for services rendered will be provided. Future services may be required. Non-compliance voids all protection. They paid me. For what? What service? All I did was leave a ring. What were they protecting me from? Then I understood. The manual wasn't to protect me from them. It was their game. My compliance was the service. I was the entertainment for whoever paid for this. The protection was from them making it worse. I found the camera a week later. It was tiny, built into the smoke detector in the hallway. They were watching me follow their rules. I smashed it. An hour later, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Destruction of property incurs a fee. See updated manual. The new rule online read, all monitoring equipment is essential for safety. Tampering will result in corrective measures. That was last night. Tonight, at 11, the man in the brown jacket didn't just walk by, he walked up my driveway. He stood under the porch light. He looked right at the front doorbell camera I installed myself. He held up a hand, waved slowly, and then pointed a remote control at my house. Every light inside and outside my house turned off at once. The power was cut. My backup battery for the cameras beeped and died. I'm sitting in the dark now, writing this on my laptop battery. I hear a click at the back door. The deadbolt I threw at 9:07 is being turned from the outside. They have a key. They've always had a key. The manual's first rule was a lie. The locks weren't for my safety. They were for theirs, to make me feel safe inside, with them. I was hiring for my small landscaping crew in Arizona. A guy named Rick applied. Seemed okay on paper, but I'd been burned before. A friend said if I wanted a real background check, there was a site, not the official databases, something deeper. I found the service on a dark web forum. You sent a name and the last $500 in Bitcoin and you got a file. Not just addresses and job history, the deep stuff. I sent Rick's name. The file came back in an hour. It was normal, too normal. Spotty work history but no arrests. One old address in Nevada. It was useless. I felt stupid for wasting the money. I hired Rick anyway. I needed the hands. 2 weeks later, my home computer acted weird. Pop-ups, my browser homepage changed. I ran a virus scan. It found a key logger, something that records every key you press. I must have picked it up from that dark website. I was mad, but I figured I'd just clean the computer. Then I opened my email. There was a new message, no subject. It contained a list of every password I'd typed in the last 2 weeks, my email, my bank, my security system. Below the list, it said, "Your audit is complete. The subject, Rick, is clear. You are not." Then a link. I was terrified. I clicked it. It went to a private video hosting site. A single video file was there, labeled with my name. The video was from inside my own house. It was a grainy night vision shot from my living room, from last Tuesday night. I was on the couch watching a game, asleep. The timestamp ran for an hour, just me snoring. The camera angle was from the top of my bookshelf, where I keep a small decorative globe. They were in my house. They put a camera in my globe. The email updated with another message. "We have completed a full asset assessment. Your physical security is rated 2 out of 10.
Your digital security is rated 1 out of 10. Your profile suggests high risk. A protection package is recommended. It was an invoice, $5,000 per month, for ongoing monitoring and threat deterrence. It was extortion. I wrote back to the email, furious. I'm not paying you anything. Get out of my house or I go to the police. The reply was instant. It was a PDF document. It was a scan of my own driver's license, my social security number, a picture of my sister leaving her apartment building, a picture of my dad's house with his address highlighted. Then text, "The police are a service. We are a solution. The first month has been waived as a courtesy. Service begins now." I didn't know what to do. I tore my house apart. I found the camera in the globe. I found another one in the smoke detector in my bedroom. I smashed them. I changed all my passwords. I called a security company to install new alarms. The security guy came. He was professional. He did a walkthrough. When he got to the bedroom, he pointed at the new heavy-duty deadbolt I'd installed on my closet door. "Good thinking," he said. "But if they're serious, they'll come through the wall, not the door." He finished the install. He gave me the codes. He left. That night, my new alarm went off at 3 a.m., a shrill, blaring sound. The panel said, "Breach, master bedroom." I called 911. I had a baseball bat. I waited for the cops, my heart hammering. The police came. They cleared the house. Nothing. No broken windows, no open doors. All my new locks were secure. The lead officer looked at the alarm panel. He showed me. The breach signal hadn't come from a door or window sensor. It came from the motion detector inside my bedroom closet. The officer asked, "You sure you were alone when you locked that closet door tonight?" I couldn't answer. The security guy's words echoed in my head. "They'll come through the wall." The police left. They said it was probably a system fault. I got an email an hour later from the extortionists. It was just a receipt. Receipt, service rendered, intruder deterrence. Monthly fee will be charged automatically. Thank you for your business. I looked at the closet door. I haven't opened it since. Something is scratching at the other side of the wall. Not my wall, the neighbor's wall. It's getting louder. I'm typing this from my kitchen. I have to decide if I pay them or if I open the closet door to see what they left inside as part of my protection.
I bought a box of used computer parts at a garage sale in rural Pennsylvania for $20. I was just looking for some old fans and maybe a power supply. At the bottom of the box was an external hard drive. No branding, just a plain black case. I plugged it into an old laptop I had, one not connected to my main network. The drive had one folder, labeled Sarah. Inside were hundreds of text files, diaries, daily entries. The first one was dated 15 years ago. It was a teenage girl's diary. She talked about school, her parents fighting, a boy she liked, normal stuff. I felt like a creep reading it, but I couldn't stop. It was like a train wreck. The entries went on for years. She grew up. She went to college. She had a hard time. She got into drugs. The writing got darker, more chaotic. The last few entries were frantic. She was afraid of someone, a man she called the cousin. She said he wasn't really her cousin. He was a guy she met online who helped her get clean. She said he had a place for her to stay. She was going to meet him. The last entry was just one line. He says the room is soundproof. That's good. I need quiet. Then nothing. The file stopped. It felt like a cold chill went through me. This wasn't just a diary. This was evidence. I knew I should take it to the police, but how would I explain having it? I bought it at a random garage sale. It would be a nightmare. I'd be a suspect. Instead, I did the stupid thing. I looked up the name Sarah with the local area code from the early entries. I found an old missing persons poster from a news site. Sarah Miller went missing 12 years ago. Last seen getting into a blue sedan. The picture matched the girl in the earlier diary entries. It was her. The poster had a contact number for a Detective Moss for anyone with information. The case was still open, but cold. I was in too deep now. I had to know who the cousin was. In her later entries, she mentioned a website he used, a weird URL. I typed it into the isolated laptop. It didn't go anywhere on the normal web. I had a feeling. I used the dark web browser. I typed the URL. It was a login page, a simple message, members only, inheritance protocols active. Below the login box, a hint question. What is the victim's mother's maiden name? I knew the answer. I'd read it in her diary. Her mom's name before she was married. It was a specific, unusual name.
My fingers hovered over the keys. This was the point of no return. If I logged in, I was accessing something meant for a predator. But if I didn't, I'd never know. I typed the name. I hit enter. The screen refreshed. It was a forum, a private one. There were only a few usernames. The most recent post was from 3 days ago. The title sent a jolt through me. Inheritance received. Contents: Sarah, full set, verified. Seeking trade for Katie or Lena sets. It was a trading forum. They were trading the lives of women, their stories, their contents. I clicked the post. The user had uploaded a file list. It was the exact file list from the hard drive I was holding. This user had just received Sarah. They were her new owner. My garage sale wasn't random. Someone was clearing out an old collection, and I had bought a piece of it. A private message notification popped up on the forum. From the user who made the post. The username was Cousin. The message said, "New login detected from the Sarah access key. Identify yourself. Are you the original collector? The transfer was supposed to be clean." He thought I was the killer, the one who made the drive. I didn't reply. I disconnected everything. I wrapped the hard drive in a towel. I didn't know what to do. That was 2 days ago. This morning, I found a note taped to my front door, handwritten. It said, "The Sarah set is incomplete. The physical tokens are missing. Do you have them? We need to meet, finalize the trade." I don't have any physical tokens. I just have the drive. But I know what it means. He doesn't just want the digital diary. He wants the souvenirs, the things he took from her. And he thinks I have them. He's watching my house. He knows where I live. I have the detective's number, Detective Moss. I'm looking at it right now. If I call, I have to explain the drive. I become part of this story forever. Or I can try to disappear. But he found me once. The note said to meet, tonight, at the old grain silos on the edge of town. He wants to finalize the trade. I have a choice. I can bring the police, or I can bring nothing. Or I can bring the hard drive and try to face the man called Cousin. I think I already know what he looks like. I saw a blue sedan parked down the street all day yesterday. There's a man sitting in it. He's just sitting, waiting for my decision. If you liked the story, subscribe and like it, and also write a comment about what topic you would like to hear about.